So today I want to talk about sales secrets from ancient wisdom. I was listening to Martin Luther King Jr. giving his last speech, which he called the mountaintop. And he was saying, if the Lord Almighty would ask me, Martin Luther King, which age would you want to live in? I would take my mental flight and get to Mount Olympus. I would see Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Euripides, and Aristophanes assembled around the Parthenon. I would see them around the Parthenon discussing the eternal issues of reality. But I wouldn't stop there. He would only stop at the time that he was born. Why would he be tempted to stop when there were these great minds? Because it was an amalgamation of great minds in one place. So there's a lot of wisdom that you can derive from these great men and women of old. And so today, I want to share with you some secrets that you can pick from the likes of Aristotle, Confucius, Socrates, and some of those ancient people. Because when you look at our lives today, most of the things that we do, even in business, they are anchored on the principles and teachings of these great men. Well, my name is Mr. Mcherwa, and I help organizations and individuals develop and sharpen their selling skills so that they can get more revenues in the process. So, let me start with my favorite, Aristotle. Aristotle taught that when you want to bring someone to your way of thinking, or when you want to persuade someone, there are three appeals that you need to consider or that you need to put in mind. And the first one is he called ethos, and the second is pathos, and the third is logos. So how can we improve our selling skills based on this? Ethos is all about trust, credibility. So he believed that if someone is to listen to you, or you want to persuade someone to do something, first of all, they need to trust you, that you are trustworthy, and you should be credible. That's why you see, even when you are applying for a job, on your CV, you put references. If you want to offer a service to an organization, they also want to get references of other organizations for whom you have done some work. Even if they are B2C, people want references. They want to know about your credibility. And even when you stand in front of an audience and you want to give a presentation or a speech, first of all, in their minds, they are saying, why should we listen to you? So in order for you to prove to them that I'm worth listening to, you need to give your credentials so that you earn credibility. And when you are credible, you can be able to bring people to your thinking. So in sales, you need to be trusted. Yes, your product might be good, your service might be good, but you as the service provider or you as the seller, if you are not trusted, you will not be able to have a sale. So trust is quite important. That's ethos. What can you do to improve your level of trust? That's why we teach that when you are approaching a prospect, do not approach them as a salesperson. Approach them as an expert and trusted advisor. The key word there from Aristotle is trust. Ethos. Then we look at pathos. Pathos has to do with the emotional aspect of relationships. Okay? How are you relating emotionally? This is where we talk about issues like empathy. Yes, this is where empathy comes in. How are you able to appeal to the emotional side of your prospect, of your client? That's why sometimes when you are handling objections and your client says, that is too expensive, and you respond saying, what makes you feel that way? You want to appeal to the emotional part of your client or your prospect. And sometimes you may even need to relate some emotionally moving or some emotionally engaging stories so that you capture the emotional side of people. And they all know that people buy for emotional reasons. And then they justify the reasons. That's where we help them with the closing aspect. When you are closing a sale, you are helping the client to rationalize the emotional decision that they wanted to make. Then the last one is logos. Logos has to do with logic. Actually, the word logic comes from logos. This one appeals to the rationality of a person. Does it make sense to make the purchase? So you will realize that that's why you need to make a case for the prospect to see that it only makes sense to buy your product or your service. Let's say an organization is incurring losses on a monthly basis. Your service is going to help them bridge that gap which is causing the losses. So in the event that they are losing $100,000 per month, and you come with your solution that is going to cost them maybe $20,000, they now need to make a comparison of the amount of money that they are losing and the investment that they are going to make from your product or service in order for them to save all that money. So when they look at that, they say, this only makes sense for us to buy. So here you are helping your client to do the cost-benefit analysis. What is the amount of the payoff compared to the investment that you're going to put in? You are now using the logical appeal. So this is Socrates, ethos, pathos, logos. That's deep wisdom from the ancients that we can apply in our sales today. Then the next one that I believe can help you in terms of your way of delivery and approaching of clients is what Confucius taught. Confucius. What did Confucius teach? Confucius taught that you don't do unto people what you don't want done to you. His line of thinking was that if you do good to people, they will also reciprocate good to you. So he called it the law of reciprocity. Reciprocity. Yes. So Confucius introduced us to reciprocity. When you are dealing with a normal human being, you do good to them, normally they feel obliged to return the favor. I remember my mentor teaching me that people should owe you favors. I wanted to get into a certain organization to offer them my services, but I couldn't get access. And I went to my mentor and I said, I'm trying to get into this organization, but I'm failing to get access to the right people. And he said, okay, the CEO of that organization owes me some favors. I'm going to speak to him. And within a week, I received a call and I got access to the organization and I did some work for them. Why? Simply because my mentor was owed some favors. So he taught me that people should owe you favors. And that is exactly the reciprocity principle that you are taught by Confucius. So how do you apply this principle of reciprocity? You have to give people value first. Before you ask for anything, make sure that you are giving them value. And if you give them value for free, they get to a point where they feel that they owe you. And when you are owed, what you get in return will be more than what you initially invested. So if you are in business, always find ways of giving value to your prospects. Don't wait for them to become your clients first so that you can show them what you can do. Give value first. When you look at service providers like software providers, email marketing providers, most of them, they tell you that up to a certain limit, you are accessing their services for free. But from this point going forward, you then start paying. But what are they doing? They are giving you value for free, but you get to that point where you really need more of what they are giving. Even ChatGPT, there are a lot of people that use ChatGPT for free, but there are other services that if you want, you then have to pay. How do they do it? They are applying the law of reciprocity. Give value first before you get anything in return. I would encourage you to watch the video that I did, which is titled The Simple Trick to Get Access to Large Organizations. It will help you to understand this concept further, because I was pushing the idea that you have to give value first before you get access. And then another dose of ancient wisdom comes from Arthashastra. Arthashastra. Now, Arthashastra is an old Indian book full of wisdom. And what does it emphasize? It emphasizes that you have to focus on relationships. When you focus on relationships in business and in sales, you will land more clients and bigger deals. Ask any successful business person, whether they be millionaires or billionaires, and you ask them one of their secrets. Most of them will tell you that it's a relationship. They developed an ability to create and foster great relationships. So if you are in sales, your focus should be about relationship building. When you build good and solid relationships, you'll get more clients and better access. It's again tied with the Confucius concept of reciprocity. If you give good gestures, if you offer value, if you offer service, you are already in the process of creating great relations. You know, it's easier for you to sell to clients with whom you have a relationship than for you to start selling to new clients. So relationships have to be always on the top of your mind when you are in sales. And then one of the fundamental laws of sales, this one is quite key and critical. It's from Socrates. Socrates is known for his massive ability that he had of asking questions. Socrates was a master when it comes to questioning. Most of the things that you would hear, you would go back and ask, what is it? By asking that question, you would encourage people to think further, think deeper about the subject or about whatever it is that they will be talking about. That's why you see even in coaching, coaches do not give you information. Well-trained coaches, they don't tell you what to do. They simply ask you some probing questions. They ask you some thought-provoking questions. And in responding to those questions, you are actually giving yourself answers. That concept originated with Socrates. You have to ask some questions. I remember seeing a book called Socratic Study, which teaches how to ask thought-provoking questions, just for you to be able to get information from the prospect. So you see now in sales, a lot of people, they believe that you have got to be a master at talking, you have to be a good conversationalist, you have the gift of the gab, but that's not it. You have to learn and apply Socratic principle, which is merely asking questions. When you ask questions, you get the right answers. And from the answers, you have the arsenal to then get to the closing stage and sell your client. And the last dose of wisdom that I want to share with you now is from Egyptian wisdom. That's called Mart. Mart emphasizes honesty. This is from Egyptian wisdom. It says that honesty is the best policy. A lot of salespeople are not forthcoming about some limitations of their products or some limitations in their services. But when you apply the principle of Mart, you are upfront about the limitations of your product or service. In so doing, you are gaining the credibility of the prospect, because if you can talk upfront about the limitations that your product or service offers, the client will believe you and will confide more in you. So these are some of the sales secrets that I thought I should share with you from ancient wisdom. I'll be excited if you've got some that you know that you can share in the comment section, and you can engage and learn more about sales emanating from the ancient wisdom. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, I would encourage you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that every time we upload these educational videos, you will be notified.